Hi friends. So late last night, the entire world was watching with their eyes fixed on the American Stock Exchange. And the reason behind it is Elon Musk and his company SpaceX. Well, you see, SpaceX was a private company up until now, but it has brought itself an IPO, meaning that the money was raised from the general public for the very first time. Now, the price at which this IPO was issued was $135 per share. So, at this price, when the IPO was launched, Elon Musk had not yet become a trillionaire. Now the thing to watch was whether the SpaceX share price would go up or down from here. If it crossed $141, Elon Musk would become a trillionaire. And yes, exactly that has happened. In fact, it went even much higher than that. Now you can see the headlines all over news and social media that Elon Musk has become the world's first trillionaire after SpaceX shares have boomed. Now, in today's video, we'll understand this in some detail and try to find out what exactly has happened and why so many people are now interested in SpaceX. I will explain all of that to you in detail, so watch this video till the end. Now, let's get started. Now, let me explain what has exactly happened with SpaceX. You may already know that SpaceX is a very large company related to, well, space, right? But many people think that it is limited to space alone. But that's not the case. It has several other dimensions, which I will explain. So SpaceX finally launched its IPO, which was the largest in history so far. In India too, you keep hearing or seeing from time to time that many companies bringing their IPOs. So what is exactly an IPO? Well, the simple meaning of an IPO is that up until now, the company is private, meaning that the general public cannot invest their money in it. So what happens here is that there are two options for a company to raise money and grow itself. Option one is either the company goes to a bank and borrows money from there, called the bank loan. So the company pays bank the interest on that borrowed money. Or option two, which in fact is a better way, is if your company is very famous and is doing very well, then you go to the general public. If the public trusts you and gives you their money, you give them equity, that is the part of ownership in your company and your profits, instead of paying interest like in the case of bank loan. So this is what we call as an IPO, the initial public offering, when a company releases or sells its shares to the general public into the market for the very first time. Now let's speak about the SpaceX IPO numbers. So what happened here is that the SpaceX sold approximately 555 million shares at $135 each. Now through this, SpaceX collected around $75 billion, which is so huge. If you remember, Saudi Arabia's company Aramco, when their IPO came, they raised around $25 billion. But SpaceX raised $75 billion, that is three times of Aramco. Now, if you go ahead and calculate the company's total valuation at $135 per share and multiply this by total number of outstanding shares, that is about 12.67 billion shares, which includes IPO plus the owner's equity. So the company's valuation comes out to be approximately $1.71 trillion. Yes, just think about it. This is just one company's valuation. And it doesn't stop here. Just within a few hours of the IPO launch, its price shot up to $150. Now you can see the IPO price was $135. So whoever bought these shares got an immediate benefit. Then the price went up to $150 and then it crossed even further. This means the company's market valuation reached $2 trillion. Now what is 2 trillion? Can you imagine? Yes, many countries don't even have that economies that size. So it's very hard to actually imagine this number. And we are talking about one single company that has reached $2 trillion. Impressive, isn't it? And Elon Musk's personal stake inside the company saw its valuation increase by tens of billions of dollars just within a few hours. Now, according to Bloomberg financial reports, as soon as the price crossed $141, Elon Musk had become the world's first trillionaire. Now, let's understand the math behind this trillionaire status. So, let me explain the math. So, Elon Musk has major stakes in many companies. Tesla, as you already know, then SpaceX, then XAI, which is the artificial intelligence wing, which was started inside the SpaceX itself. Then there's Neuralink, then the Boring Company, and Twitter, or X as we all know. So when the IPO price was issued at $135, Elon Musk's total SpaceX stake alone was around $688 billion. and his total wealth had reached $970 billion. But then, as soon as SpaceX price crossed the threshold of $141, Elon Musk SpaceX related valuation crossed roughly $17 billion. Now, this is just SpaceX. So, if you add Elon Musk's wealth across all his other companies, his total wealth crossed a massive $1 trillion. Now, here's a very important question to ask: is whether SpaceX actually a $2 trillion company? Well, we need to understand the psychology of investors to understand and answer this question. Now, investors here are not just looking at SpaceX as a space or just a rocket company alone. Because as I told you, don't look at SpaceX as just a rocket company. It's a combination of many factors, you see. So it's a space transportation company. So SpaceX has demonstrated that it dominates the global launch services. The Falcon 9 is a very heavy rocket, Falcon Heavy Starship. Through these, they transport crew members and also bring them back. In today's date, SpaceX alone launches more rockets than all the countries of the world combined. Then it is also a satellite internet giant. You must have heard of Starlink. It has become, one of the world's largest broadband networks. Now, investors love Starlink because, people subscribe. It generates continuous revenue for Starlink. Then there's also global reach, which is increasing. Also, Starlink is used in many military applications. It's also used in aviation and maritime connectivity, and it also provides internet in rural areas. So many analysts believe that Starlink alone could one day be worth several hundreds of billions of dollars. Now, if you separate Starlink from SpaceX and list it independently in the market, its valuation alone would be in the hundreds of billions of dollars. Also, SpaceX is an AI infrastructure company. Now, this is a major factor in today's date. You must have seen many AI related companies, semiconductor companies. They are all in a boom stage. Although there has been some recent correction, Elon has linked his AI ambitions with SpaceX, and the logic is simple because AI needs data centers need energy, and global communication needs satellites. So SpaceX role here becomes significantly larger. Then there's also Mars economy bet. Now investors here are not just looking at today's revenue, they are looking at Elon Musk's vision. Yes, Elon Musk has clearly said that in the future he wants the humanity to not only be limited to one single planet, that is, to not just stay on Earth, but to go elsewhere too. And there's discussion about, permanent lunar settlements or building colonies to Mars or space manufacturing or asteroid resource extraction and even interplanetary transportation. So Elon Musk has repeatedly said that his ultimate goal is to make humanity a multi-planetary species. So now let's understand why were investors so interested in this IPO. So why was SpaceX demand so high? The IPO was oversubscribed several times, and the reason behind this are multifold. Number one is scarcity. So for many years, SpaceX has been private. So investors didn't have the opportunity. They had very limited opportunities to own SpaceX shares. Now, as soon as the IPO came, it was the first chance for the investors, and that's why there was such a huge rush. Then there's track record. Now, there may have been many high value startups in the world, but SpaceX already has substantial revenue. It has, Elon Musk has government contracts, they have commercial customers, and also proven technology to back their product. So, why wouldn't investors put their money in? Sure, they would. And then there's also the Elon premium. Now, many analysts believe that an investor doesn't just bet on your business, they also bet on the founder who will run that business. That's what happened here. Because every project Elon Musk has been associated with, name it automobiles, space, internet infrastructure, he brings massive value and transformation, which is kind of a disruption. So, because Elon Musk is such a visionary, he is involved in so many businesses, many investors are ready to pay even more, even if the share price gets expensive. So, why does this matter globally? Now, you will find a big shift here from oil to technology because historically, the wealth of world's richest individuals came either from land or mining or oil or banking. But Elon Musk has completely changed this. Now, wealth is coming from electric vehicles, artificial intelligence, satellites, and space technology. And then there's a rise in the space economy. So, after this IPO, it validates that space is also a major economic sector. Companies will now compete in satellite manufacturing or space launch services or lunar exploration. The major players will be, I think, US, China, and Russia. In India too, you might have noticed that the commercial space is expanding. You must have heard of companies like InSpace, the ISRO, and then there are some private launch startups. Now, SpaceX success demonstrates how important these reusable rockets are, the commercialization of space, and the public-private partnership in the space sectors. These are recently now being given the importance here in India as well. Now, let's come to the criticism and concerns. So, many people feel that this particular milestone is just for the show. They question on wealth inequality. Now, the biggest concern is trillions of dollars exceed the GDP of many countries. So, the critics argue that wealth is getting largely concentrated, wherein the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. Oxfam, which releases inequality reports, has also raised concerns about such high valuations. Then there is a concern of valuation bubble risk. Many analysts have warned that SpaceX is $2 trillion valuation is based on the future growth. But what about the present? What if those future scenarios don't actually materialize? Then what? Then there are questions on dependency on one single individual. As you can see here, there's a dependency on a single individual, that is Elon Musk. All investors are looking at Elon Musk. Tomorrow, in case a succession happens, someone else replaces him. What happens to the company then? So we must think long term and not just get all excited on the present numbers alone, as they may not be sustainable. So friends, there's a lot more to discuss, but I hope through this video, the overall picture about the trillionaire news that has been making headlines since yesterday is clear. I thought I should explain it to you. Thank you.